There is one thing that made Hollow Knight my favorite video game of all time. And no, it's not its massive interconnected world or its amazing and unique soundtrack. Now don't get me wrong, both of those things are great, but what stood out for me the most about Hollow Knight on my first playthrough was its bosses. The bosses in Hollow Knight are very challenging but fun at the same time, with each boss having a unique design and moveset. And the final boss, the Hollow Knight, is definitely not an exception, with it being such a good boss that I would consider it a perfect 10 out of 10. So in today's video, I'll be talking about why I think the Hollow Knight is a perfect final boss. But first, I need to point out the 3 things that in my opinion make a boss fight go from great to absolute perfection, which aren't as simple as you may think, and those things are the boss fight itself, and by that I mean the boss's design, moveset, arena, soundtrack, etc., the build up to the boss, and the lore and story behind the boss. And I want to start with what I think the Hollow Knight does best, build up. Build up is absolutely crucial for a final boss since it makes you excited to fight them. And let me tell you, the build up to the Hollow Knight is absolutely amazing. The first time we see the Hollow Knight is at the start of the game with a cutscene showing us the Hollow Knight shell cracking due to the infection. And after we acquire the Dream Nail, a marker is placed on our map showing us where the Hollow Knight is located. We are then tasked with defeating 3 Dreamers in order to enter the Temple of the Black Egg, and each time we defeat one of the Dreamers, a cutscene plays showing us the entrance to the temple slowly opening. And after defeating all 3, we can finally fight the final boss of the game. We then walk through a long dark corridor with a bench near the end reminding us what we are about to face. We then walk into the boss room, break the chains that are holding the Hollow Knight in place, and begin the final fight. What makes the build up to the Hollow Knight so good is that we are constantly reminded of our ultimate goal, sealing the infection once and for all, whether it be from an NPC's dialogue or a lore tablet, which is why I think the build up to the Hollow Knight makes the fight 10 times better. Moving on to the actual boss himself, and this is when I realized just how good this boss really is. He has a ton of different attacks that go from basic slashes to dozens of projectiles flying out of the boss that are almost impossible to dodge. It's also extremely fun to dodge the attacks, and finding openings to strike back feels so good. And something else I love about this boss is the fact that he slowly gets more attacks as the fight progresses. The soundtrack is amazing and perfectly fits the theme for this boss, but my favorite part of this entire fight is when the Hollow Knight starts stabbing himself. The music then goes from an epic soundtrack to a depressing one. This is the moment you realize that the Hollow Knight isn't trying to kill you, like most of the other bosses. He's trying to put an end to his misery, and we can see that in later points in the fight when the Hollow Knight can barely even fight us anymore. A couple more hits later and the Hollow Knight goes down. We then suck the infection out of his body and take his place as the new Hollow Vessel. I also want to point out just how better this fight becomes after beating the Pure Vessel in Godhome, since we can see how strong the Hollow Knight was in his prime. Speaking of the Pure Vessel, this brings us to our third and final reason why I believe the Hollow Knight is a perfect boss: his lore. The story behind the Hollow Knight is a very tragic one. It was a vessel made alongside millions of others by the Pale King and the White Lady, in an attempt to seal the Radiance's infection that was plaguing the kingdom of Hallownest. What set the Hollow Knight apart from all the other vessels is that he was considered perfectly hollow, with no mind to think, no will to break, and no voice to cry suffering. And because of his inability to form any thoughts, it was a perfect fit to seal the infection. So after somehow putting the Radiance inside the Hollow Knight, they chained him up in the Temple of the Black Egg. But the infection ended up breaking out anyway, since the Hollow Knight was never truly hollow. He had one thought in his empty head, and that was to impress his father, the Pale King. So the player ends up taking the Hollow Knight's place as the vessel tasked with protecting the kingdom of Hallownest from the infection. But if you're cool, then you went for the secret ending, where you go in the Hollow Knight's head and defeat the Radiance once and for all. And that's why I think the Hollow Knight is a perfect final boss. The only boss that is as good as the Hollow Knight in my opinion is probably NKG or Gehrman from Bloodborne. Anyways, that's it for today's video. Let me know in the comment section if I should make more videos like these. Comment, like, and subscribe. It's absolutely free and helps my channel out a ton. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.